We are live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Wolves and welcome back to the final word. Hope you guys are keeping very, very well. Today we're going to be dissecting the defeat to Manchester City. I'm going to be alongside a number of guests today. And I mean, we may as well kick off. We've got Mr. Harry Mansell. Harry, how you keeping, mate?
Really good, Dave. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. I mean, I've just realised I've tweeted out the stream on my own account rather than Talking Wolves. But it's a good start to the evening. Yeah, disappointed evening yesterday, mate. I mean, what did you make of that? A strange game in the end, wasn't it?
It was. Well, I think if you'd have sat every Wolves fan down and said, put a gun to their head and what do you think we're going to do in this game? And we could have all said the same thing. Sit back, defend for our lives and try and get anything we can on the counter. But the team surprised me. It did. I was thinking back to when we beat them in the second half when Adama went up front with Raul. Maybe Nuno had that in the back of his head, like trying to hit him on the counter with Adama up there. But Neto's not really Raul Jimenez, is he? Like, we need someone up there, a vocal point to hold it up, and we missed that because Neto and Adama can't trap a bag of cement, can they? Let's be honest. They don't hold it up. They don't do that. It's not their game. They want to spin in behind. So every time we did get in their half, which was about twice in the first half, it just nothing would stick with it, and we couldn't really create anything. And we were lucky, really, mate, in my opinion, to only be 1-0 down at half time. Mad.
Yeah, we were extremely lucky. I mean, that first 30 minutes, I don't think we got a kick, did we? But when we did, we just seemed so panicky on the ball. It was quite disappointing, really, when we were on the ball. And I think I put on Twitter, it was almost like it was a League Two-esque performance. It was as if we'd come to play them in the FA Cup, and we just sat back. And it was strange because I thought, in the back of my head, I thought, you know what, actually, we've played like this more or less every time we've played against them. But in the home games, I don't think we did. I think we took it, I suppose it was at home, but we did seem to take the game more to them, really. So I was disappointed that. I mean, the first goal, I mean, every goal, really, you think could have been avoidable as well, really. I mean, the first goal was the own goal by Dendoncker, but it's just crazy, isn't it, how City could just get in behind so easily, despite us having almost 9 men at all times at least behind the ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I noticed as well, I know the goal came from the right, but they was attacking down the left a lot, wasn't they? With like Sterling and that, and I think Hoever and Semedo, they struggled. They struggled definitely. And well, when you've got Sterling and Mahrez on either side, you're definitely going to struggle, aren't you? But like you say, it was weird because first half, I think Patricio only had to make a couple of saves, really, even though they had all the ball and had all the approaches, but they were skying a few as well, weren't they? De Bruyne, I remember he skied one, but that VAR decision, mate, I honestly, that just blew my head. If that was Wolves that would have had that ruled off, I'd have been gutted. So really, in my opinion, we should have been 2-0 down at half time anyway. It's one of those armpit ones again, wasn't it? Which is just silly. It's just silly. So it could have been two.
There was two or three, wasn't there? And the Laporte one. Obviously they checked the Jesus one right at the end, and one of the other ones as well was ruled out, I think. I can't remember, but what do you I mean, you've mentioned Ki-Jana Hoever there. What do you think of him so far? I mean, when the first lineup came out, it showed, obviously the Wolves graphic showed him as playing possibly as a centre back. And when I spoke to a couple of Liverpool fans when we'd first signed him, that's where they saw him long term. For me, and I don't want to write him off already, I just don't think he's been that great for us so far. What do you think about him overall so far?
Yeah, I agree. He hasn't had too many chances. I think the best performance he put in, just off the top of my head right now, was probably Man United away, wasn't it? When we conceded right at the end, he was right wing back that game, wasn't he? From memory, I think Coady was by him and was directing him well. But yeah, I don't think he's good enough right now. He's another young lad, isn't he? I know a lot. I was doing my watch along last night, and there was a Liverpool fan in the chat, and he kept going on saying, "Oh, we should have kept Hoever." And you remember the reaction the Liverpool fans had when we got him. So there is definitely potential there, but similar with the Fabio Silva story, isn't it? Have we got time really to wait around right now? I suppose towards the end of this season, we can give him a chance because the season's petering out. And yeah, I think he's got potential, mate. But right now, I think he needs to find out what his best position is, if it's centre back, if it's right back, and then try and, get good in that position and kick on from there.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him at centre back. I just don't think he's that. I don't know what it was at right wing back. I don't know. I think he's got a little bit of pace to him, but I just don't think he's got that attacking. That
he had that one cross. That one, it come out to him, didn't it? He just ballooned it first half. Yeah. That's it. You've got to do better there, hasn't he?
That was like your shot at Espanyol, wasn't it? When he hit that bloke in the head.
Mine was on my left foot, mate, on the volley. So.
On the volley. I mean, you mentioned Fabio Silva just Alfie right at the start of the stream there said thoughts on Fabio's performance? I mean, he didn't really do much, did he? He didn't really have much of the ball. I mean, he gets himself about a little bit. Had a couple of decent little bits to link up, but
he didn't do much. But the fact we brought him on just instantly changed it for me, because we got the free kick, scored off Coady, and just after Coady equalised, we had like 3 or 4 good chances, didn't we? I think Adama skied one, and that one when Moutinho like tackled, did a really good tackle. And then we hit them. And I was on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my God, we might get a second here. But yeah, he didn't actually do much. But I think the fact we just had someone up front, like actually centrally, made a bit of a difference for that little spell. But then obviously, as we know, it ended up being an absolute thumping at the end, which was probably a bit harsh.
Yeah, I mean, he adds that energy, doesn't he, Fabio? We saw that at the end of the Newcastle game where Willian Jose, I know I don't really want to discuss him too much because we spent probably 3/4 of the last stream talking about him. Whereas he adds probably a slight bit more technical side to the game. I think Fabio does add that energy, and we saw that. I think yesterday we saw that against Newcastle, and obviously who knows how he starts against Villa. But Harry, it says something when our goalkeeper's probably arguably been our best player for the last 3 weeks, isn't it? Despite us getting positive results against Leeds and Newcastle, the fact that Rui's been
I lost you there. Did I lose you there, Dave? I think I'm back. Was it me or you?
We're back. No, we're back. It was me. I think
was it you?
Me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say I thought it was me then. No, I'm back. I'm still here.
Sorry. Yeah, I said about Rui, wasn't it? I mean, it speaks volumes that he's been our best player for the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah, he has. He's been really good, and there were shouts for John Ruddy's coming, weren't there? It feels like 5-6 weeks ago, and how silly is that? Now, I'm glad he's been playing well because he has had his doubters at times, and he pulled off some really good saves again, and he's put in a few man of the match performances, hasn't he, over recent weeks? And he's still got it, Dave. He's still got it, and in a game like that, when you're against pretty much the best team in Europe, you've got to be on your toes, haven't you, to give us any sort of a chance. And I think I felt a bit sorry for him. He ended up conceding 4 because I don't think he deserved that with the way he played.
Yeah, he made some really smart stops. I think there was one from De Bruyne which he tipped wide.
Yes, that was
I think
brilliant.
Bernardo Silva right at the end of the first half as well. And I mean, we did get a goal, Harry, and I think every Wolves fan for at least 2 minutes thought, you know what, we could do him. It was, I mean, probably the most unlikely goal scorer. I think you would have put money on Rui scoring higher than Conor Coady because he's come up for a free kick, which I don't think we've seen for a long time. I know he came up for a few against Liverpool earlier in the season, but another great header from him and into the back of net. First shot on target in the Premier League and first goal. I mean, it was mental, wasn't it? That.
I think it was that they said on commentary, didn't they? It was the first time we'd been in the box. It was the first shot we had on target in the game. And was it Cody's first ever shot for Wolves in the Premier League? Is that right?
In the
on target.
League,
So put him up front, man. He's clinical.
Yeah.
No, but you could see the look on his face when it went in. He was buzzing, wasn't he? But like he said, post-match, obviously he's buzzing at the time, but with the result, he can't be too happy. But honestly, what odds would you have got on that? On Coady just to score any time? It'd have been big odds, wouldn't it?
If anyone in the chat knows that, let us know. I mean, you got a few admirers in the chat today, Harry. Joe has asked if you're on the beers tonight.
No, not tonight.
No, it's a school night. It's a school night.
School
not
night,
yeah. Yeah. And Vinyl has mentioned João Moutinho there. I mean, him and Neves were always going to have a bit of a nightmare, I think, last night. But what have you made of those two recently? I mean, for me, Neves, I know he got that goal against Newcastle. He's just seemed still a little bit rusty. Like, the ball was coming to him quite a lot last night, and he still struggled to play those forward passes into the right areas. There were times in the first half where Ki-Jana Hoever had acres of space, and they just didn't. They sort of ignored it. What have you made of those two in recent games?
Yeah, still not good enough, Dave, and sometimes they can be okay for spells in games. Like, I thought Moutinho was much better against City, to be fair. I mentioned a minute ago that tackle he did to set off on that counter, and he got the foul for the free kick and then whipped a good ball in, but they're still not good enough, are they? And with Dendoncker, he was kind of I think he was meant to start off in midfield, wasn't he, last night? But he was so confused me. There was one formation on the one app and one on the other, wasn't there? And when we were defending, it was literally 8-2-0 or whatever the formation. But no, they struggle together, don't they? And they've got to improve. I think we need a bit more fresh thinking in there, but everyone's been calling for Otasawi and he came on and give him a goal. So I don't know if he's going to get a chance now because of what he did.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shame. It seemed a bit of a daft change really at the time, didn't it? Because, you're bringing on a lad that really probably, I suppose the game was pretty close up until that sort of last 10, 15 minutes anyway. But for me, he's got to be having a bigger spell. He's not going to make an impact. You know, he's not going to, when you're already 2 or 3-1 down, he's not going to add goals, is he really? So it was a bit of a strange change, really. And I think at times it was almost as if Nuno obviously said, let's play it out from the back. Well, we probably should have just gone a lot more direct. Like there for me, he had no options, just hoof it. Or if in doubt, kick it out. Old school Sunday league.
That's inexperience from his part, probably, isn't it? Trying to mess about in the box like that. And against City, they're just going to kill you, aren't they? Like Mahrez was on form, wasn't he? And as soon as it come to him, you just knew he was just going to bury that. But his miss as well, when you think back to his miss, was it away at Brighton when he missed that sitter at the end?
Last chance.
He hasn't really had many chances since then, has he? So I feel a bit sorry for him because I think the fans seem to like him, don't they? Even though we haven't seen too much of him. But just looking at him, he looks physically capable, and his demeanour, we've seen like he seems like quite a calm and collected lad. And hopefully that doesn't affect his chances to have a run in the team because, like you say, Neves and Moutinho haven't really been that great together, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things change against Villa as well. Harry, I'll let you get on with the rest of your evening, mate. Appreciate you coming on as always.
No problem, mate.
I'm sure we'll chat very, very soon, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Dave. See you in a bit, mate.
Nice one, mate. See you, buddy. Big thanks to Harry for jumping on there. Sorry about the internet connection, guys. I've not had that issue before, so I'm not too sure why it dropped there. We'll quickly move on to our next guest now. We've got Henry from the Old Goal TV. How's it going, mate?
I'm good. How's it going with you? You alright?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, mate. All good. Got Henry in. I've seen a couple of his videos, the Old Goal TV. Henry, before we kick off with yesterday's game, if people want to jump over, check out your channel. What sort of content are you doing on there at the moment?
Obviously, I've just got, match previews, match reviews, your standard, and then you've got, I do some stat-based videos. Recently, I've done a video comparing Neto stats and Ronaldo's stats from the first 2 Premier League seasons. That was interestingly close. So, go and check it out. I hope you'll like the content.
Yeah, I'll be sure to add all the links to all the guys coming on today's stream in the description once we finished as well. So Henry, yesterday's game, what did you think? I mean, 4-1 defeat. Do you think that was a fair result, or do you think it flattered City a little bit?
Well, I think they definitely had loads of opportunities. So, I think if it wasn't for Rui Patricio, it could have been an embarrassing kind of scoreline, because he's on form at the moment. He's really, really good and kept us in that game for a large part of it. 4-1 probably wasn't the deserved result with 2 late goals coming with City. I thought we defended fairly well. A few little blunders, especially from Dendoncker, wasn't really his night. I do think he's much better in midfield. But yeah, it was a little bit flattered City, but overall they probably deserved to get they definitely deserved to get the win, and it was just, we were far too defensive in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Dendoncker there. If, say for argument's sake, Willy Boly is back on Saturday against Villa, what do you do? Do you drop Dendoncker out completely, or do you like you say, move him back into midfield and drop Moutinho or Neves?
I think with a team like Villa, I think Nuno will stick with Moutinho and Neves. I think that's his trusted faithful in midfield. I mean, it hasn't been working that well recently, but that is what he will go with, I think. And I think he'll have the free up front. But I think with the Willy Boly coming back from injury, say that he does. I think that he will drop Dendoncker, but I also think that maybe Max Kilman deserves their chance, because he's been really solid the games I've seen him. I don't think he's made very many errors, and I've seen rumours coming out that we might offload him in the summer. I think that's ridiculous. I think he's one of the best centre backs we've got at the club. He's calm on the ball. He can play out from the back. He very rarely makes errors, and when he does, he makes up for it. So I think Kilman deserves a chance, although I do think Saï's been very good in the last few games. But I think Boly has to start ahead of Dendoncker if he is fit for the game against Villa.
Yeah, I mean, Max Kilman, like you said, there was a rumour out yesterday that Wolves were looking to get rid. Coming up to 24 now. I think we'll probably do a more in-depth video on it, because there were loads of different opinions on that as well. So we will talk about that on the channel in the future as well. And the goals, Henry, we didn't really speak too much to Harry about the individual goals. I mean, the first goal, obviously, coming from that Mahrez cross, it was a Dendoncker own goal in the end. But a couple of the others, I mean, for City to take the lead when Semedo just played them on and Adama had lost the ball, it was just, a lot of those goals were avoidable, weren't they, last night?
Yeah, that's what frustrated me the most, I think. A lot of them were avoidable. A lot of them were a bit lucky for City, I thought, especially that second one from Gabriel Jesus to put them back in front. it just deflected off his heel, didn't it, as it was coming across, and it just fell really nicely for Jesus to put it in the back of the net. But I think that overall, we can't blame that result on lucky errors, because we got quite lucky defensively sometimes as well. Sterling had a few chances that I think just whistled wide the post. So I think we were lucky that it couldn't have been more. I mean, that it could have been more goals to City. But as you say, the goals, they were definitely avoidable. But overall, I think that 4-1. They were going to score a lot of goals from the start. I mean, that's just how it was. I mean, we didn't offer anything. We sort of just let them pass through the midfield, and with City, they're clinical. When they get a chance, they'll score it. So I think they were always going to score a lot of goals the way we set out and how we looked from the start.
When you look at the stats, so for this season, Wolves have conceded 4 times in 3 games. Obviously, West Ham, Liverpool, and now Man City. Our previous years under Nuno, it's only ever happened once. So what is happening? Why this season, Henry? Why is this happening? Is it how we're setting up? Is it the personnel? What do you think is the problem at the moment?
I think perhaps that Fosun's recruitment to suit our new 4 at the back system that we tried to go with didn't quite match. I feel like we sort of recruited for a for 5 at the back formation, with Semedo obviously being more suited to sort of a wing back kind of role. I thought that also with the injury situation this season, we've been quite unlucky with the injuries. I think that's played a big factor, because we obviously didn't expect the likes of Fabio Silva to have to step up to the plate for a lot of the games early in the season after Raul was injured, before we could get Jose in. So I think injuries have played a part. Trying to change tactics has changed a little bit, but I also think that teams in the Premier League have got a lot. I think it's a much more competitive sort of league this year. Teams have got better. Teams have signed good players. I think that teams that were previously, not doing really well, like the likes of West Ham, Everton, Villa, they've all been really excellent this season. And I think that's played a part as why we can't get as many results, because there are teams like this who are just that slight. They don't have a better squad than us, but this season they've been slightly better than us. So there's definitely more competition for places in that sort of 7th to 10th kind of range where we've been finishing in the last few years.
Yeah, I always look at the factor of no fans at the grounds as well. There are a couple of teams where sometimes their fans can get on the backs of the teams quite easily. I know Villa is one, West Ham is one, and like you say, they're teams that are doing quite well, and the teams. You could argue Liverpool, ourselves, Sheffield United, who probably thrive under good atmosphere.
Yeah,
have obviously not quite had the seasons as well. But I do agree the recruitment has been questionable over the last couple of years. Probably one signing for the last window has been okay. There's not been a notable window which, since our first year. I think that first summer we came up was pretty outstanding. But the last summer was it. Catrone, Vallejo. They were our big signings, and they just didn't go to plan. Do you think this is a massive summer now, Henry? Sorry.
Yeah, we do need to recruit the right players, because you look at other teams, their signings have worked out extremely well. I mean, if you look at likes of West Ham, they've got Sukek, Lingard, obviously, who moved in January. They're quite. They've been recruiting well, and whether it's a bit of luck that they fit the team, or whether it's just like proper in-depth scouting, knowing that they will really help that team to do well and progress in the summer. Also, Ollie Watkins for Villa's another one. He's been phenomenal this season. So just we need to look in the right areas, know what we need to improve. For me, it's a midfielder, a centre-back, and possibly another winger that's maybe a little bit different to Neto and Adama, who are obviously quite direct, a bit more like Podence, a little bit more skillful. Someone like that. So I think we do just really need to recruit in the right areas. Summer's a big window if we really want to take that next step up to, consistent Europa League and even maybe pushing to Champions League football.
Yeah, and quickly moving on to Villa, final question. I mean, the changes, you've said obviously Boly in, you think Neves and Moutinho possibly in the middle. Up front for you, do you think it should be Silva, or do you reckon Willian Jose?
I mean, there's pros and cons to both of them. Jose has had a few scoring chances and he's spurned a few of them. I don't think his movement is quite as good as Fabio. I really do like Fabio's movement. He seems to get himself in the positions a lot, and there's obviously something there that we've seen, because we wouldn't pay 35 million for something that's not going to get any talent. I think his sort of knack of being in the right place at the right time, sort of a poacher, is definitely what we've seen in him. And he's the kind of striker that with a few years development, bulking up a little bit, getting a bit more sort of finishing prowess, especially with his heading. I've been a little bit disappointed with his heading, but as he develops, I think that he will turn into a good player for us. But I do want to see him start over Jose. I think he offers just a little bit more in terms of movement and moving around Neto and Adama to let them have the space. So yeah, I would like to see Fabio Silva start.
Brilliant, mate. Well, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. As I said earlier, guys, I'll make sure I leave Henry's link in the description down below. Appreciate you coming on, mate, and I'm sure I'll speak to you very soon.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Cheers, mate. See you soon. Big thanks to Henry. Like I said, guys, the Old Goal TV is his channel, so be sure to check that out. It spoke really well, obviously, about last night and Wolves' current situation. Move on to our next guest. We've got Jason.
Sorry, there's me turning the volume up. I'll tell you what, how can I follow that? He knows his stuff.
Very good, mate. Very good.
What have you got me on for after him? What do I know? How can I add to that?
Well, I mean, look at that T-shirt for a start. That's the perfect start. There we go. Grand Theft Auto, limited edition.
I'm pleased that during lockdown it still fits.
I mean, it was a disappointing evening yesterday. What did you make of that game?
I mean, listen, realistically, I don't think it was a 4-1 defeat. I think that was quite flattering to Man City. Did we I said these points last night, Dave. Did we deserve anything from the game? Did we deserve a point? No, we didn't. First half, it was the usual, we're on the back foot, quite a bit of a lacklustre opening, which has been the same for the past, for all season, really. Yes, obviously, we're expecting City to score first, and they didn't let us down, which they did. And then, obviously, Coady pops up. And to be honest, it does give you a glimmer of hope then at that point, and it does. And then we're all thinking, right, is this the old Wolves? Are we going to win this 2-1 at Man City? And then we almost just capitulated, didn't we? And we don't look like the team we did last season, whether it be how the style of play has changed, I don't know. But we are not the team that we was last season. And there is mitigating circumstances. There's the injury to Raul, there's been the injury to other key players, injuries to other key players. But we're not even nowhere near competing with teams like Man City. Not that we've ever been, but, I mean, right now, more than ever, we look a million miles off. And, Dave, I'll put a question to you now, and you've probably had it before. Name one of the Wolves players that would get in Man City's team.
I don't think they would they? Even their bench, some of them, their second team would still push for top 6, I think, easily. Their backup team,
Easily. And we've got to be honest, we understand in the Premier League, there's leagues within leagues. And the frustrating thing is, look, Wolves have had 2 amazing seasons, 2 7th place finishes. We know about the cup runs as well. But to compete with a team like Man City, to break into the top 6 and the top 5 and the top 4, needs not only serious investment, but it just needs, in so many other ways. It's just, Man City is a gulf above us, and we've got to be completely realistic about that. And yes, Wolves can get there, but it's not going to happen as quickly as people expect it to. We've had 2 good seasons, and the expectancy levels are still at fever pitch. And I think that's why this season has been so disappointing. And if we finish in the top half, is it really a bad season? I don't think so. When it comes to individual performances against Man City, when you play a side like that, wherever you make a mistake on that pitch, whether it be in their half, in the final third, in your own half, around the edge of the box, you're going to get punished. Otasowie comes on. You can see what he's trying to do, but listen, if he dribbles through them 2 players and lays the ball off, he's a flipping hero, and all of a sudden, he gets caught out in possession like that, it ends up in the back of the net, he's 0. Can you blame the lad? He's a young player. There's no point giving him crap over it, because at the end of the day, we've got smash 4 on it. It's inconsequential, really, a mistake like that. But it just shows you make a mistake like that against Man City, anywhere on the pitch, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, there was we made it fairly easy for them as well, though, didn't we? Like all over the pitch. Whenever we had the ball, it was just cheap stuff. It wasn't. I know it was their press that forced these errors, but it was just disappointing. Whenever we had the ball, it just seemed really, really panicky. And there was times during the final third, and to try and keep possession within 2 passes, we're all the way back to Patricio again. Were you disappointed with how Nuno had sort of set up, or was that expected? Whenever we played City, to be fair, ever since we've had Nuno, even when we played him in the Carabao Cup that first season, he's always played deep and tried to get them on the counter. I mean, remember that game, Brighton and Bakari missing a number of chances in the Carabao Cup that first year, and we've given them good games, but probably last night's was probably the most, in terms of scoreline and performance, was probably one of the most disappointing ones, wasn't it?
Well, I think realistically, last night, the way you could look at it is, if Nuno, whatever his game plan was, he did get it wrong because we got smashed 4-1. So, to me, I look at it as if to say, well, do you know what? It's a bit of a free hit, really. We should have just gone out and expressed ourselves. And, whether it be... Listen, if he'd have gone out, I wouldn't say gung-ho as such, but if he'd have gone out with a more attacking game plan, listen, if we go 2 goals down, you switch it, you change it. But it's almost like we're defending from the off. We're under pressure from the off. And listen, I'll tell you who frustrates the hell out of me. Not Silva. I'm not going to give Silva a hard time because I quite like him recently. I'm actually grown my hair like him. Tell you who frustrates. Silva got in some good positions last night, by the way. But Traore, listen, we know he can be a world beater. Yes, that statistic come out to wind us all up. 25 games, no goals, no assists. Okay, forget the one against Leeds where it hit the net, whatever, hit the bar. But he frustrates the hell out of me because, listen, we know he can beat players, but he's got to know when to release the ball as well. Because, last night he got caught in possession, go up the other end and score. And you know what? He's a good player. He can turn a match on its head, but he's got to know when to lay it off because there's been a few times when there's been an easier pass on and he's tried to beat the player. We know he can beat players for fun. He doesn't need to prove it every single time he gets the ball. He needs to mix up his game because, listen, these defenders do eventually work it out. Even though they can't match him for pace, they do realise that he's going to, he's going out wide or what he's going to do. And they see, so he's got to lay it off at times because he's so frustrating, really, really frustrating.
Yeah, just almost a touch too many, and that's the big reason. I know that goal against, I think it was the second or third goal when he did give the ball away, and in the end they were just onside from Semedo. I saw people slating Semedo for that, but for me, the ball, we shouldn't have lost possession full stop.
No.
He should either got to lay it off or quick turning, get himself up the pitch. He took way too long on the ball. Go on, Jason, sorry.
I was just going to say my other frustration is the goal kicks. Now, if Patricio is injured and he can't take a goal kick, whether he's got a thigh strain, give it to someone who can lump it upfield. And I'm not saying it's not a long ball game. It's a tactic because it's like we're playing 5-a-side. There's 3 men in the box, and I don't know what they're trying to achieve by doing them goal kicks because all it's doing, we're just sucking up more and more pressure. I just think it's like corners. We've been trying them short corners. I just think on corners, you've got to cross into the box every time. That's my opinion. Mix it up now and again, but the amount of short corners we're playing were far outweighing the long corners. And then on the goal kicks, just hit it, hit it out wide, hit it wherever. Don't start playing these games against Man City where, obviously he has got thigh strain or something. There's something that the reason he's not taking the goal kicks. But I don't know, give it for Coady to lamp up field or Dendoncker. I mean, Dendoncker last night for me was man of the match. He was on a hat trick, wasn't he?
I know. Well, we just invited pressure though. Those goal kicks as well. You knew, they were literally ready on the edge of our box. If we're playing it short, you're just inviting pressure within 18 yards again. Get everyone out there, like you say, and do it long. And if I'm not sure if Patricio is injured or he just can't kick very well because we've seen that in previous years. I think it's improved slightly, but like you say, just get Coady on it. A bit old school, Sunday League type tactics, getting your defender to take a goal kick, but just do it. I don't think anyone's.
And
yeah, exactly. But
you don't need to put it down the throat. You don't need to put it right down the middle. Put it out onto one of the flanks, anything, and just get a knock on. Listen, I'm not telling Nuno how to do his job, by the way. I'm not flipping Jason from Cannock telling Nuno what to do. But let's be realistic, right? I'm not the only one saying it. And you go on Twitter or any form of social media, and people are getting frustrated with these same things. Look, and they're just basics, really. It's like on the corner, get a cross into the box. The problem is, it just depends on who's up there to obviously, when you do get a corner or, like free kick listed like Moutinho. Yeah, good free kick into the box and Coady scores. We can do that on corners. That's a cross into the box. I can't see why every corner they're not putting it into the box, getting the big lads up front, chucking everyone forward and just risking it and just going for goal. But yesterday, I think we knew we was going to lose anyway, but I think at the end, it was just got quite demoralising, didn't it? And you got to feel for Man City because their fourth goal goes in and they don't even know whether to celebrate now because of VAR. And like when they score, it's just taking the fun out of it. And because we're all watching it on telly, it's creating idiot pundits like me.
You got before you go, I think you got your own advertiser in the chat there. He's saying you've got a fabulous book you should buy there.
Flipping heck, look at that. I really appreciate that, Mr. Life is a joke. My life's an absolute joke at the minute, by the way. I've got a 4-month-old. That is a real joke, I tell you. Just look at the bags under my eyes. It's like freaking Gatwick carousel. But coming on to Villa, I don't know. Was you going to ask me that? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I mean, go on. I mean, the main questions are really if Boly's available, what do you do with Dendoncker on Saturday? Do you push him into midfield, or do you keep him out of the team and keep Moutinho and Neves in the middle?
Personally, I think it's a bit more effective with Moutinho and Neves. I put a comment the other day on Twitter about Neves' free kicks because he hasn't been taking them for whatever reason, and there's been a few direct free kicks and other players have been on it, and I just think Neves is one of the best free kick takers I've ever seen at the club. He's definitely the best free kick taker at the club now. So why look at all the fabulous goals he scored. Why he isn't on every single one once again, I don't know. Because Moutinho has been having them, etc., etc. So I'd always keep Neves in midfield. He's a good player for me, and he does he's quite underrated. He does a lot of stuff off the ball as well. The question could be maybe resting Moutinho at some point. But listen, if Boly's available, you play your best team. Boly's in straight away for me. And if it means dropping Dendoncker, then so be it. And he hasn't particularly done anything wrong. He couldn't do a great deal about either of those yesterday. Mind you, he did turn his back, didn't he, the second one, which is a little bit unforgivable because if you've got to take a ball in the bollocks, can I say that, or in the face, if you're going to take it, you've got to take it. And turning your back's completely indefensible because if he'd have been facing it, he might have been able to defend it better. But the first one, he's gone in to stop the cross, and there's only one place it's going, and that's obviously you get a cross like that across the box and it beats the keeper. The chances are it's going to end up in the back of the net anyway. So for me, Boly, you've got to pick him. Yeah.
Well, Jason, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, mate. I appreciate you taking the time to jump on. And
really appreciate it.
Is there any books available yet? Can people still get
There's
them?
literally about 50 books left. They've gone absolutely crazy. So we've sold over 900 in the last month.
Wow.
My missus is glad now because we've got the spare room back. So, but yeah, so all's good. So there's literally about 50 left.
Where can people get them if they want to grab one?
talesfromthetape.co.uk. If you go on there, if you order tonight, you'll get the book in 2 days' time.
Perfect. I'll put a link for that in the description as well once
and
this
Dave,
is finished.
Keep up the fantastic work that Talking Walls are doing. Over and out.
Appreciate that. Enjoy the rest of your evening, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. And big thanks to Jason for jumping on. We'll quickly move on to our next guest, guys, as well. I appreciate all the comments coming in. I saw that as well. Ben Lynn as well. Big fan from Qatar. I love that. We've got the guys from Wondering About Wolves now. How you doing, guys?
All right, Dave.
Thanks.
Good. I mean, a bit of a disaster yesterday, but what did you think about yesterday's game?
Well, first 45 minutes was a disaster. We wasn't hunting down the ball. We was defending constantly, and we was just inviting pressure. And it looked like there was no point playing the first half.
Yeah, too passive.
Yeah.
In and out of possession in the first half. But the thing is, Dave, this is a pattern. This is Southampton in the first 45 minutes. Newcastle, the first half an hour. Yesterday, the first 45 minutes. It ain't just because we're against Manchester City, for how good Manchester City are. We understand they're a top-class team. But we've done this same thing against Southampton, who've been hit for 9 a couple of weeks earlier. We've done the same thing against Newcastle, who are fighting off relegation. So it shows the way we start in games is with a wrong mindset. We're too passive. We're too willing to let our opponents have the ball and for us to sit and try and absorb pressure. We need to try and win the ball higher up the pitch earlier in the game, and then we can play from there. And then when we do that, we move the ball well. And if we can get it higher up the pitch, and then we can start attacking people. But we've got to press positively, press with aggression and intensity earlier in the game and move the ball faster when we're in possession.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier on in the stream, it speaks volumes that Rui Patricio is our best player. I mean, the last few weeks, really. So it's been amazing, really. I mean, there's plenty of comments as well, soaking the pressure up. What were your thoughts on, the lineup yesterday? I mean, we dropped a striker, really. When you're dropping a striker, that speaks volumes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when we did our preview for it, we speculated that Jose would be taken out. Yeah. I think that what he did with going with a 5-4-1, I didn't expect that because Semedo was effectively playing as a right midfielder and Neto as a left midfielder, although he did alternate with Traore, and sometimes Traore take his turn out on the left wing and Neto would go up front. Yeah. I suspected that we'd go with 2 up top. I thought he'd go just with the pace of Traore and Neto as a front 2 and then put an extra body in midfield. I thought maybe Dendoncker would be moved forward and Kilman brought in, or maybe Otasewi would get a start with Neves and Moutinho. So I was surprised with the 5-4-1 lineup and the way we tried to go about the game. But it didn't work, and it wasn't really effective.
I definitely thought Dendoncker should have been moved into midfield because in there he can cover ground. He's got good fitness, but in defence he looks shaky. He don't seem like he's steady enough. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Dendoncker does give you good energy in the midfield, and he ain't.
He'll run around well. He'll run down the ball.
He does. He covers the ground well. But when he's been in defence, like you say, he has looked a little bit suspect the last few weeks. And thankfully now, as we saw, Boly is back and he was on the bench. So I'm hoping that he's ready to start for the Villa game.
Yeah, I mean, Dendoncker, he tends to play himself into trouble a lot, I think, as well. He always gets his back almost to goal and then he's like almost backed himself into a corner. And you see that him do that a number of times. And it is one of those. I think the formation Wolves put out as a graphic before the game, I would have taken that formation, 5 at the back and 3 in the middle. And almost Neto and Adama a little bit more central because I think we would have had a bit more joy. So when he started how he did, I think have Dendoncker almost as a bit more of a ball winner and Ki-Jana Hoever at centre back. I think that would have worked a little bit better. But how do you see Nuno approaching this game against Villa? Do you think we'll almost go back to the way that we know, sort of how we've been playing the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think we'll go back to like a 5-2-3. Back to the way we was actually had an unbeaten run and where we was winning. I think we just need to go back to that formation.
Yeah, I think it'll be back to what we know. Yeah. Perhaps with Boly coming into defence, as long as he's fit enough. We know he's back. Whether Nuno thinks he's 100% ready, I don't know. Up front, I expect Jose to get the nod in the middle. Although he's been having his critics lately and he hasn't scored yet. I think Nuno will trust him to give him the starting role because Silva's looked good coming off the bench, but I think that's the pattern that suits him more.
It seems to be better coming off the bench as a sub, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think as a player that hasn't got the responsibility of starting week in, week out, coming on and trying to affect the game with his enthusiasm, his energy, and getting into good positions, at this moment in time in his career, that suits him more. So although Jose ain't really been setting the world on fire recently, I still think he's a more reliable option to hold the ball up with his physical presence and link the play, and have Silva doing what he's been doing well over the last few weeks, coming on as sub and looking bright and busy.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be a hero if he scores a goal against the Villa and we win as well on Saturday. Fingers crossed. I mean, that would be a huge game as well. And I mean, Adama Traore always had an interesting few weeks. I think personally he's improved a lot, but there's still areas of yesterday's game where he's making mistakes that are costing us chances and goals, really. I mean, Raya, what do you think about Adama? Are you a big fan of him, or do you think Wolves need to get someone better next season?
No, I'm a big fan of Adama. The only trouble with him is sometimes the final ball or the final cross isn't good enough, but I think his pace is really key to the team for counter-attacks. because that's what we base all our team on. Just the counter attacks, trying to just get that.
We're a counter attacking team, so you need players with pace. Adama's had a very good February. In fairness to the guy, if you look at how he's done in the matches in February, he's been an excellent performer. Obviously, he gave the ball away for one of the goals yesterday, messing around with it in the wrong area of the pitch, and he's guilty of that at times. But like Nuno says about him, he's a unique talent. And if you can harness that unique talent and use him in the right way, and he's switched on and he's 100% focused on what he's doing and getting the details of his job right and the tasks he's supposed to be doing, then you've got a tremendous asset. When Jimenez gets back as well, I think, you'll see that link up again, which he's missed greatly. He's obviously lost Doherty behind him because Doherty had a really nice partnership with him. Semedo and Adama have struggled because they're too similar. They want to play along the same lines all the time.
That's why I think when Neto plays on the right and Adama on the left, it suits better so the wing backs can bomb up and down the side.
That's it. It gives the wing back space. If you move Traore over and he drifts in, Johnny can overlap, and the same with Neto on the other side. Neto will naturally cut in on his left, and it gives Semedo the space he wants, that space he craves to bomb into, because Semedo's a quick player with good pace as well. So, for Traore, I think a good February. But there's still things to improve on. But he's a diamond in the rough, isn't he? He's a diamond in the rough. He's one of them players where he will frustrate you, but then other times he'll be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think Doc's runs as well were, you never knew where Doc was going to go sometimes. He scored goals and he was on the opposite wing sometimes. I think we do miss that greatly, but fingers crossed, obviously, we get a win on Saturday, get back to winning ways. But guys, wondering about Wolves, another YouTube channel, great YouTube channel. Make sure I leave a link to them in the description once the stream is finished as well. But guys, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll chat to you very soon.
Cheers, Dave.
Thank you. Bye.
No worries. See you soon. Big thanks to Wondering About Wolves as well. And from Wondering About Wolves to Wondering Wolf, we've got Mark Rhodes. Mark, how's it going?
I need to work on the name, don't I? It's a bit too similar to everyone. All right, Dave, mate. How you doing, mate? I've been listening and he took some great points. Points. Yeah, there's been good points throughout, really. I mean, Adama, we quickly mentioned Adama there. I know he's a bit of a Marmite player for you, isn't he, at times? I mean, before, which game was it? The Leeds game where you said get him off and he popped up with a goal a couple of minutes later. But done it a few times, Dave, to be honest.
Was it Neves as well? I think it was Neves last week, wasn't it?
It was in Neves, yeah. I'm having a shocker, mate, to be honest.
You'll have to say William Jose on Saturday, and hopefully he'll bag a goal as well.
Fingers crossed. I really hope that lad gets off the mark, because you know what, I was quite surprised that he didn't start against City, because the way he holds the ball up, thanks. I was quite surprised because he just hold the ball up really well, and I think we needed that against City because our ball retention was so bad. Like, what do we have? About 13% possession. It was pretty dismal in the first half, especially from the 60th minute to the 80th minute. I thought we were world class, but you know, from 0 to 60 and 80 onwards, we were a completely different team, and it was a shame, really.
Yeah, I mean, from the first whistle, like you say, to about the 60th minute, we still looked a bit fragile, but we sort of held that shape. You know, we relied on either missed chances or good saves from Rui to keep us in the game. Yeah. But like you say, from about 10 minutes onwards, it was just like our shape went out the window. It was really, really strange. You know, what do you think of the scoreline? Do you think it flattered us, flattered City, or do you think in the end it was the right result?
I think it was about right, mate, to be honest, because I'm to admit, when we got the equaliser, I didn't feel as though we would get the draw in the end. I think that Man City are so good, and we were on borrowed time, really. I thought that the goal that they had chalked off was a goal. I was very surprised that we were able to keep it at 1-1. But I thought Rui played out of his skin. He has been playing so well recently. I think City's not the benchmark for us. I think Villa is going to be the game where we'll see where we are this season. I think they're playing Sheffield United at the minute, and Sheffield United are giving them a cracking game. So I think you chalk this one down to experience. I think Willy Boly is a massive defender for us, and I really think that when he comes back, we can move Dendoncker into midfield. And the thing with Dendoncker is that he breaks up play so well and gives Neves the time on the ball that he craves, and Neves can spray the balls. But with Moutinho in the team, I just don't think. He was a fantastic player and I love him dearly, but I do believe that Moutinho's time is coming to an end as a starter for Wolves. And I think Traore in the summer, I think it's going to be a huge transfer window for us.
Yeah, I think it'd be huge just, to picture and sort of put together the pieces for the next couple of years. I think for Wolves, it's going to be absolutely massive, really. And I think, we mentioned it earlier in the stream, there's been a number of, I don't think we've had a good transfer window since, you could argue, the first season in the Premier League, really. All of them have had huge disappointed players. We've got one or two gems, like the Neto signing and so on. But other than that, it's been a bit disappointing, really. There was... obviously, if say for argument's sake, then you said Moutinho out. I think you are right. I think Neves and Donk again in the middle. I think they did an all right job against Villa. I think it was last season as well. Donk did the job, and Moutinho just to come on maybe the last 10-20 minutes. Add that experience if we're looking to see out a game or whatnot. I think I agree with you. But we saw the lineup yesterday. Once again, we didn't see any of the likes of obviously Jose, who we've spoken about, but Vitinha and Aït-Nouri. Do you think this is too late for them now? They've not done enough to prove, they're good enough for Wolves at the moment. I know they're still very young players. I'm not writing their careers off, but can you see them getting permanent contracts at Wolves now, or do you think it's too late?
I think Vitinha, definitely not. I don't think that lad has done well. You know what? He hasn't been given the opportunity as much as but we don't know what happens in training. He's probably not setting the world alight in training, else he would have got his chance. Aït-Nouri is a difficult one because you do need some backup, and when you've got players like Marcel going down every 2 weeks, it seems. You do need backup in those areas. I think Johnny coming back has really kind of muddied the water in that respect. I really do believe that the only player that we probably will take the option to buy out of the three is Jose, because I think we do need some stability in the forward area, and I don't think Silva is a backup that we can count on at the moment for Jimenez. I think Jose is seasoned. I think the goals will come with him, and I can see, for like League Cup games or Cup games going forward, Jose and Jimenez playing as a two. I know they're quite similar, but horses for courses at the end of the day. So I'd take the option of keeping Jose, but the other two, unfortunately, I think it's a lot of money for not a lot of comeback. So.
Yeah, well, I remember when Jose had signed for us, his message that he put out to the Sociedad fans was as if he was leaving, as if, he was thanking them all for his time there and so on. So I think although it was said it was an option, it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe, I don't know, they've promised him a permanent move if this doesn't go to plan, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, even if it's not quite 20 million, it wouldn't surprise me if we negotiated a slightly lower deal. But I think you are right. Hopefully the goals will come. I think, he's not quite had the service. I know a couple of people are saying in the chat there have been a lot of people moaning about him, but there's been zero service for him, really.
There's been none.
Yeah. I mean, his movement is a little bit restricted at times, but you'd still expect, him to find himself in at least one good area a game. And I don't think we've seen that over the last two or three matches, really. And what do you think then for Villa, Mark? I mean, I think, unless they've scored a late goal now, I think they've lost. So they could be a bit fragile, or they could be, raring to prove a point and get back to winning ways. So how do you think Nuno's got to approach that sort of game?
I think we've got to go in with the mindset of this is a cup final for us, to be honest, because I really do believe that this is a massive game for us. I think Willy Boly coming back in defence will be massive for us. I think, obviously, if that does happen, then I'd love Dendoncker to be in the midfield. I'd probably start Jose and bring Silva on with his cameos, because I think as we've heard already from the others coming on. I think he really has done a job. He's got into those areas that Jose probably hasn't. It's a lot less pressure on the lad, and I think we'll probably go to our tried and tested formula. I do have an issue with Traore in the fact that he's an enigma. He's brilliant on his day, but when he isn't, he's a passenger, and it's like playing with 10 men. And I don't think we can go forward with a player like that in the team. And I can't wait for Podence to get fit, because he walks into that team for me. He really does. He's different level. Personally, I might be in the minority here, but there's no contest really. I think Podence is a quality operator.
Yeah. I think genuinely now, if there are bids for a certain number of players this summer, I think it could be a serious eye opener, because I think if they want a full revamp of this team, I think they could and probably will be very ruthless with a number of players. As in, we saw the rumour of Max Kilman, who I know it was brought up earlier in the stream again. A lot of people couldn't believe that, but for me personally,
I'm surprised.
I think we've got a bad bunch, and I think he's probably up there as one of the best of a bad bunch, really. Great squad player to have around, but why are fans talking about us pushing for Europe and wanting us to get top 6? Can you see Max Kilman being a defender in a top 6 team? No. Unfortunately not. I can't. So like I say, all right as a squad member, but he's a lad coming up to 24 years of age now, and he's not broken into the team. And when you're playing Coady, Dendoncker and Sace ahead of him, obviously something's not quite going right. And with Adama there, I think if he was sold for decent money, I think it would upset a lot of fans. But long term, I think we could really reap the benefits. You may not get a player as quick as him, but you'll get a player that works harder and better technically than him, which I think long term you'll see the benefits out of. So I love Adama to bits, but like you say, there are times where, like yesterday, I was begging for him to get on the ball because he was the only one that seemed to drive us up the pitch. But then you see the time where he gives the ball away and they score straight off it, where, it was just a silly mistake, really. So I think this is a big window coming up. I think it will be a serious eye-opener for some fans. But, you got someone there. I love TMI on a Saturday morning. That's a throw out there.
Thanks, Shiv. Much appreciated, buddy. Thank you very much.
It's going to be interesting. I know you have obviously opinions when I listen to your podcast. You've got opinions on certain players, but I think you replied about the Kilman thing saying the same sort of thing, didn't you, as well?
Yeah. I think with Kilman that there's a ceiling to his talent, and it depends on what kind of club we want to be. You looked at Nuno has he doesn't care about sentiment. Barry Douglas, Helder Costa. He didn't think they could cut it. He got Reed straight away. Matt Doherty. I think Doherty would have stayed. Nuno didn't think he was in his future plans, so he got rid of him. Like Jota wasn't getting a game. He wasn't in Nuno's plans. We got £45 million for him, and it was good business for everyone. Little did we know he was going to go on and become an absolute world-class player. But you know what? For us, with Nuno, if he wants to get rid of you, he will get rid of you. And the same applies for Coady as well going forward. He had a fantastic game yesterday, but if we want to be a top 6 team, Conor Coady is not in my 11, personally.
Especially in a back four. I think you've got to be ruthless. If you genuinely want to go to a back four, it's one of them, isn't it? So
it's Boly and somebody else for me.
Exactly. We could have a discussion about transfers all night. I think so many players, but I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, Marco. Appreciate you popping on as always. And again, Wandering Wolf, another fantastic YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to that once the stream is finished. And they do podcast type videos after each game, and some great interviews on there as well, Marco, aren't there?
Cheers, mate. Yeah, we've got some good ones. We've got Anna Price, the Wolves women's captain, coming on soon, so that'll be nice. Cheers, mate, and top man.
Yeah,
right.
My
See you later.
Mark. I'll speak to you soon. See you later, buddy. Well, big thanks to Mark there as well, and big thanks to all of my guests that have come on today, guys. I know the connection has been a bit jumpy on a couple of them, but big thanks to Ben for popping in. Big thanks to anyone that left your comments today. I know there's going to be so many opinions regarding defenders and transfers, and maybe in the next few weeks or possibly towards the end of the season I'll do a full live stream on it and get you guys involved, because it's going to be, I think it'll be a really long one. And the Kilman situation as well. I mean, I very quickly gave my thoughts on it there, but I think that could be a video on its own as well, just with the future of a number of players. And I'm actually looking forward to it at the end of the season. We the last few years, we've done the buy, sell, keep series where we talk about which players we'd sell, which players we'd keep, and which positions we want to reinvest and buy in. And I think that'll be a really intriguing video at the end of this season as well, with what's happened and who's come in and so on. But guys, as always, appreciate your support. It's been another final word. That is a final word on Manchester City 4, Wolves 1. Be sure to hit the like button on today's stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys, and we'll be back for the pre-match Villa content over the next couple of days. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your week, guys, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.